Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. It's so nice to be here talking all things books with everyone. Today I'm actually doing a favorite of mine. So there is a book subscription that is known as Book of the Month, which happens to be one of my all-time favorite book subscriptions. It is essentially a company that scouts hundreds and thousands of books and looks at all of the new releases that are coming out that month and basically select the top of their choice, creme de la creme, and put it up for you to consider. They do multiple different genres, and now they also have audiobooks as well, which is so great so that you can choose and pick whether you want to add more physical books to your collection or if you want something that's compact and easy to read in your Audible form where you can just listen to the book and move on. It's not actually Audible. I don't know why I called it that, audio book version, and you can keep track of your audiobooks in the Book of the Month app. There is a subscription fee, so there are deals that consistently happen. Now, this is not a sponsored video, so I unfortunately do not have any codes for you right now, but I know they run promotions all the time where it's $5.99 for your first box or $10.99 for your first box. From then on, it's about $16 per month in order to maintain the subscription plan, and you always receive one book. Now, most hardback books, when you think about it, brand new, fresh releases, fresh on the shelf at Barnes & Nobles, etc., even Target and Walmart, usually sits between the month amount of, $15 to $16 all the way up to $35. So it's a relatively good deal. Also, any additional books that you choose to buy are priced at $10.99, and you can ship up to 5 books at a time per box. That being said, I just love the service so much because someone else is doing the curating work for me, and I just have to wait for my beautiful blue box to show up. For those of you that are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Jaya. I love everything about books, and I put out videos every Wednesday and Sunday to talk all bookish content. For those of you that are returning, thank you so much for being here, and I hope you enjoy the February edition of the Book of the Month. So without further ado, let's pop into this girl, shall we? So the first book I have here is a thriller. This was by Gillian McAllister. It says, "One morning he's your husband, by nightfall he's a criminal, and these are his." So basically this book follows the story of a woman who finds out that her husband is in fact criminal, and she has to figure out how to get him out of the soup that he's gotten himself into while also protecting herself and her family. This just sounded absolutely entertaining to me, and March for me is usually my month of thrillers, so I'm really excited to dig into this in that season. I'm going to read the inside for you guys. So this one is, "It is June 21st, the longest day of the year, and new mother Camilla's life is about to change forever. After months of maternity leave, she will drop her infant daughter off at daycare for the first time and return to her job as literary agent. Finally. But when she wakes, her husband Luke isn't there, and in his place is a cryptic note. Then it starts. Breaking news. There's a hostage situation developing in London. The police arrive and tell her Luke is involved, but he isn't a hostage. Her husband, doting father, eternal optimist, is the gunman. What she does next is crucial, because only she knows what the note he left behind this morning says. Famous last words is the story of a crime, a marriage, and more secrets than Camilla ever could have imagined." So this book just sounds absolutely intriguing to me, and I cannot wait to sink my teeth into this. This was the thriller pick of this month. In addition to having monthly selections with anywhere between 5 to 7 book titles that you can choose from, they also have additional books that they curate that are popular finds that may be completions of series or continuation of series that have shown up on Book of the Month in the past, as well as spotlight titles that may be related to other books that have been popular, or just new releases that didn't quite make the cut for being the top 6 or 7 books that they select for that month for you to choose from, but are still books that they want to include in their options for you guys and for me. And so one of those books this month was Rebel Witch, which is the second book of the Huntress, for the Fortune Huntress. Is that what it's called? What is the first book called? It's a Crimson Moth book. The first book is Heartless Hunter, and Heartless Hunter was very, very, very popular last year. It is a fantasy book. This book is the second book in the series, which is Rebel Witch. And I just had to get this book because I've heard absolutely wonderful things about Heartless Hunter, and people who have read that book are raving about it. I personally have not started reading it yet because I usually like a series to be complete before I really start jumping into it. Otherwise, I'm on the edge of my seat like I am with waiting for ACOTAR book number 6 as well as book number 4 in the Crescent City series, and it just drives me crazy. Also, another example is Prime Fourth Wing example, because Onyx Storm just came out and I haven't been able to read it because I have to read Fourth Wing and Iron Flame again first before I can sink my teeth into Onyx Storm. So I actually remember what happened in the other 2 books to enjoy the new book. Given the fact that authors typically release a new book in a series between a year to 2 years after the initial release of a book, when I saw that this book was going to be coming out this year, I decided to wait to read Heartless Hunter until this one came out. But I'm very, very, very excited for this Romantasy series. Next up, this author has been on my radar for a while, and I personally haven't read her yet. This book in particular had a lot of rave reviews about it. So I was like, I guess I could check out this Sally Rooney book. I know people either love or hate Sally Rooney. I haven't read any of her other books. I've heard wonderful things about Normal People, and there's another one that everyone always raves about that I'm blanking out now. But I've heard that this one is quite fascinating. Intermezzo is basically, from my understanding, a story of a family. So the interior says, aside from the fact that they are brothers, Peter and Ivan Kobeck seem to have little in common. Peter is a Dublin lawyer in his 30s, successful, competent, and apparently unassailable. But in the wake of their father's death, he's medicating himself to sleep and struggling to manage his relationship with 2 very different women. His enduring first love, Sylvia, and Naomi, a college student for whom life is one long joke. Ivan is a 22-year-old competitive chess player. He has always seen himself as socially awkward, a loner, and the antithesis to his glib elder brother. Now, in the early weeks of bereavement, Ivan meets Margaret, an older woman emerging from her own turbulent past, and their lives become rapidly and intensely intertwined. For 2 grieving brothers and the people they love, this is a new interlude, a period of desire, despair, and possibility, a chance to find out how much one life might hold inside itself without breaking. I have heard beautiful things about this book. I have also heard things that weren't so beautiful about this book, but I'm really excited to read it and seeing the dynamics of the family as well as how they deal with grief. I've also heard that Sally Rooney's writing is very unique, and so you either love it or you hate it. So I am curious to see what this book has to offer, and I'm excited to kind of explore the world of Sally Rooney. Next up is the book that I was most excited for. This book is the 3rd and final book in the Ruinous Love trilogy series. The first book in this is Butcher and Blackbird. That took the internet by storm when it first came out, and then after that came out Lark and Leather, which was also great. I happened to find these books on Book of the Month as well, and I discovered that I absolutely adored Butcher and Blackbird. Loved that book. Lark and Leather, in my humble opinion, was very good, but it was a 4-star. Butcher and Blackbird was like solid 4.5 to 4.6 star book for me. It's just so entertaining. Basically, the series is following these characters of 3 brothers and their romantic interests. In the first book, both of the main characters happen to be serial killers that only kill other serial killers. So that was a very interesting dynamic. It is gory, it is dark, it's a very intriguing kind of romance that's playing out with like subplots of like the serial killers and them themselves being targeted. It was a very interesting read. The second book is following the elder brother who's a contract killer, and he's trying to get out of that business. And his love interest also happens to be a serial killer, but she also happens to be a famous singer. So she does her activities on the side in the quiet. And all of these characters have very interesting backgrounds and history to read as well. Now, this final book is following the last brother, Fionn, and his love interest. She happens to be a female who is running away from the circus or just finished with the circus, and he is the last brother in the series who himself is a doctor but has found himself on the other side of the line of the law whenever he has to protect or help one of his brothers. He's the youngest brother in the series, and he has honestly been the one that's captured my heart the most in the other 2 books. So I am so excited to dig my claws into this book in March. I cannot wait. So excited, and thank you, Book of the Month, for actually including this. Another series that I was reading with Book of the Month was the X-Hex series, and they did the first 2 books, but they didn't add the 3rd book as an option, which was very strange. So now I have 2 of the books, but I don't have the 3rd one because it's not a complete set. Which is, I realize, first world problems and 100% me problems, but at the same time, thank you, Book of the Month, for actually bringing this book out, because I am so excited to have the full set and I cannot wait to finish this trilogy and read this book. And then last but not least, this is also a follow-up book to the first book that was released. This is the Kingdom of Claw in the Ashen series. This is book number 2. Again, I have not read the first book because I knew that the second book was coming out. The first book is called The Road of Bones. It is a romantasy. This is an adult romantasy series, and this is the second book in the series. Unfortunately, since I have not read the first book yet, I can't quite tell you guys what is happening in this book, but I am very excited to read it. And this is a long book. This is like almost 640 pages long. So this is going to take me a minute to devour, but I'm very, very excited to have the second book in the series. And now I feel like I can finally start these 2 lovely series that I have bought the second books of. One being Heartless Hunter series, which is the Crimson Moth series, and then the other one being the Road of Bones, which is a part of the Ashen series. Last but not least, in every Book of the Month box, you do get a little bookmark. And with the bookmark, it has a little quote on the top, and then it has whoever submitted the quote and where they're from, just so you feel that connection of community with your Book of the Month crew. This one says, guaranteed climax every time. And the climax, of course, is italicized. That basically wraps the Book of the Month portion of this video. Just so you know, I can also just scroll through the phone app real quick to show you guys what the app actually looks like. So when you go onto the app itself, it basically has a open screen. You get to the front page, and then you can basically see that you have different options here. So in the back corner here, you have the February selections of books. You have all the book titles that they have. You have the to be read for your own books. You have the challenges that you can be a part of, and then you have the audio component. Now, if you go to February, you can see all the books that are available for the month of February. So if you look at the view all of this month, then in February, the options were Black Woods, Blue Sky, Penitence, Good Dirt, Famous Last Words, which is the one I had selected, and then First Time Caller by B.K. Borison, The Bones Beneath My Skin by T.J. Klune, and A Season of Light by Julie Iromwanya. I personally chose the book that I chose because I did feel the need for a thriller as I'm going into March. And then also I strongly considered The First Time Caller by B.K. Borison, but it just didn't quite speak to me because I haven't finished the Love Light series yet, and I've only read Love Light Farms. I love her writing style, and I love her quotes, but the actual story plot and the main female lead character was hard for me to connect with. So I want to see what the rest of her books have to offer before I jump into another B.K. Borison book. And as far as T.J. Klune, I absolutely love most of the books of his that I've read. I'm not 100% sure where this book is coming from in terms of the background, but from my understanding, this is a completely different series altogether. The other fun thing about TJ Klune is also every single one of his books usually has LGBTQ components to it as well, but it's done in a very sophisticated way where you can really appreciate the romances and you can really appreciate the characters, and I love the way he writes. So absolutely beautiful author. So multiple amazing authors for this month's selection, but I definitely went thriller because that's just what speaks to me. Outside of that, if you look inside of the app, you also have the option of selecting categories. So you can literally click this one, which for example says the romantic reads. So you can choose that and see what book options they have if you want specific titles. They also have Black History Month specific options as well, as we are going into February. They have new and recent add-ons, which is where you can see like additional books that were not selected but are options. For example, You Between the Lines by Katie Naiman, The Rebel Witch, which was part of the Crimson Moth series by Kirsten Cicerelli, and then Scythe and Sparrow by Bryn Weaver, etc. So they have multiple options there. And then they always have the spotlight titles, which are basically books that they feel either represent or correlate to books that they have selected or are books that are very popular with them that they feel need to be rediscovered. So for example, the Leather and Lark is the second book in the Bryn Weaver's Ruinous Love trilogy, and this was the prequel to Scythe and Sparrow, which happened to be one of the choices. Then as we're scrolling down, you have Road of Bones, which is the first book in the Ashen series, and that, of course, the second book, The Kingdom of Claw, just released. And then we have Heartless Hunter in relation to the Crimson Witch. Is that what the book's called? Rebel Witch, sorry, which is the second book in that series. So they do a really good job of kind of tying everything together. And I just think that this app is so great because of the fact that it allows you to actually try reading so many different authors and so many different genres without feeling overwhelmed, because the selections are being created for you and you're still on top of all the new books that are releasing. So I do strongly recommend checking out Book of the Month if you are a book collector like myself. However, if you are not into collecting these books, I also think Book of the Month is great to peruse just so you can get an idea of what authors are out there, and then see if you can find the books in your local public library, or see if you can find other ways to consume the books if you don't want to necessarily purchase a copy of the book. For me personally, I have a problem, and I love collecting physical copies of the books because it's almost like my pride and joy. Like, these stories I feel like are a part of who I am when I read them, and if I love the book, they stay on my shelf. So for the most part, most books don't leave my shelf, but I do genuinely enjoy having these lovely collections in my bookshelves. I also love to collect special editions of books, and so this is another book that I recently found a copy of. Someone was kind enough to be selling this book for only $30, and this happens to be the Owl Crate version of Ruthless Vows. Now, Ruthless Vows and Divine Rivals is an absolutely beautiful story. I enjoy this series so much, and it is a duology. The series is now complete, and I just had to get my hand on this special edition copy. It is gorgeous. This is Owl Crate's special edition of the book. So we have Ruthless Vows binded in the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cover. And you can see here that it actually has typing from the typewriter as well, along with the beautiful flowers. And then when you open up this book and you take the cover off, you still get such a lovely depiction of the main characters as their romance and dalliance begins while they're in the middle of this war that they're trying to get through. And then outside of that, you also have the beautiful silver finishes on the actual book itself. So this one says, "Despite our mundane lives, perhaps we make our own magic with words." And I absolutely love that. And then you can see the lovely print as well. And on the back, it says the Ink-Ridden Tribune Journalist. And so that is the name of the newspaper that they're with, along with the Daily Gazette. And then you have this lovely, lovely, lovely painted edging, and the interior is absolutely stunning. Now, I believe this this actual copy is also signed, which makes it even more special. So we have a note from the author as well as a signature from the author herself. And I am just so in love with this book. So I was very excited to get my hands on it, and I cannot wait to add this to my collection of special editions and reread this book when the time is right, because she is absolutely stunning. That brings me to the conclusion of this video. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you did enjoy this video and you like bookish related content, whether it be reviews of books, ideas of where to find books, new authors that may be coming out, genres that we like, recommendations based on what was read, what wasn't read, if you just like seeing and you're nosy and you enjoy finding out what other people read like I am, then I put those videos out too. So if those sound like they're up your alley, then definitely consider hitting that subscription button and that notification bell if you haven't done so already. I put out videos every Wednesday and Sunday and would love to see you back on this channel. And for those of you who stayed through the end and are returning, thank you so much for being here. It's so special to be able to create this bookish community and have a platform to talk about all things books and just enjoy them. And the bookish community is just such a wonderful community to be a part of. And I'm so thankful for all of you. So thank you so much for being here. and I will catch you on the next one. Bye, guys.